This is the iPhone 16e. And after testing it out for the last few days, I have a lot of thoughts. So let's put it to the test by taking you through with me in a real day in the life. It's currently 6:13, I bet your percentage is at 100%. Let's get into this day in the life. So I just dropped off my dad at the airport. It is currently 7:10 and our battery percentage is at 99%. So let's talk about the iPhone 16e. Well, the iPhone 16e is the latest iPhone that aims to be a more budget-friendly option. And on paper, it is a budget phone. But what's not budget is its price, which it starts at $599 and is no longer a budget phone. So it begs the question, is this phone overpriced or is it worth it? Well, in today's day in life, that's exactly what we're going to be testing. We'll be putting the iPhone 16e through its paces. We'll be testing out the display, the performance, the cameras, the software, features, and design, and most importantly, their battery life to see if the price tag can match its capabilities. Also, this is the first iPhone to have that new Apple-made modem, the C1, which apparently should give better efficiency and battery life performance. So we're gonna see that at the end of the day if that makes a difference. All right, let's get going. Alright, so I got my breakfast and I made it to this random park that I've been wanting to go for a while. But yeah, it's now 9:41 and the battery percentage is at 79%. But let's talk about the display on the iPhone 16e, because I have a lot of thoughts about it. So the iPhone 16e's display is pretty much exactly the same as the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 14. As I've mentioned before, the iPhone 16e is basically a recycled iPhone 14, and that remains the same for the display. The iPhone 16e is equipped with a 6.1-inch AMOLED display that has a refresh rate of 60 Hz alongside a 2.5K resolution and a peak brightness of 1200 nits. The iPhone 16e's display is pretty good for anything that you want to do on it. Colors look vibrant, clear, and also accurate. And at a 2.5K resolution, everything looks really sharp. But that's where all the good stuff ends. Compared to its competitors like the Samsung S24 FE or the Oppo Reno 13 Pro, those boast much better displays with better brightness and higher refresh rates. We're still looking at a phone with a 60 Hz refresh rate in 2025. That's $599. That's pretty insane. And on the brightness side, this is pretty hard to look at in direct sunlight. 1200 nits is just not enough for today's standard, and you're gonna struggle to look at the display when you're under direct sunlight. It's got thick bezels, a notch. It looks pretty old, and to be honest, it is old. This is the same design from 4 years ago on the iPhone 13. Overall, the display on the iPhone 16e deserves a B- grade. So that wraps up the display. Let's keep going on with this day in the life.
I'm feeling jaded in the worst way, pretending that I got my life on straight here.
Okay, so I've now reached campus and I'm gonna get some work done before I head to my lecture at 11:30. The battery percentage is now at 69% and it is currently 10:42. Alright, let's get some work done.
Real life, here behind brake lights. Maybe we hang tight. We could live a better life. We talk about it every night. You could buy a yellow bike, spend it on it all the time. You can.
Okay, so it's now 1:57, battery percentage is at 58%. Wrapped up my first lecture, but let's talk about the performance on the iPhone 16e. So the iPhone 16e has the same chipset as the rest of the iPhone 16 lineup, which is the A18 chipset, alongside 8GB of RAM, which enables the iPhone 16e to have Apple Intelligence. Now, the only real issue I have with this chipset is that it's been downgraded, so the regular 16 gets 5 GPU cores, and this one comes with 4 GPU cores, which means for gaming, it's not going to be as capable. But nevertheless, in terms of performance for day-to-day usage, it's perfectly fine. There's minimal starter's lags, and there hasn't been any real issues I've had so far. Now, when we turn to gaming, Genshin Impact can be run at medium 60 FPS or high graphics at 30 FPS, but you really can't push it as much as the other iPhones in the iPhone 16 lineup. There's no way you can really run this phone at maximum graphics without overheating or just having a lot of lags and stutters. It's still very powerful and very capable, having the same CPU performance as the iPhone 16s and 16 Pros. However, the GPU performance just is a bit lackluster, and also it does overheat a little bit when you push it pretty hard. So I'm settling in between A and A- for the iPhone 16e, and let's keep going on with this day in the life. Alright, so it's now 3:49 and our battery percentage is at 49%. Now let's talk about the cameras on, well, the camera on the iPhone 16e. Yep, that's right, the iPhone 16e only has one camera, and this time around it's a 48 megapixel sensor, though it is not the same one on the regular 16s, because this has a smaller sensor and isn't as capable. It also doesn't have the sensor shift stabilization that was on all of the other iPhones since the 12 Pro Max, which is very disappointing because it's one of the best stabilizations you can get on a smartphone. This is gonna be a bit of a bummer because it makes stabilization in videos a lot worse, and also means that you have to have a more stable hand when you're trying to take photos. But let's take a few photos and see how they look. I've got my friend Lewis here, so let's take a few photos. Photos taken on the 16e look good, with great dynamic range, colors, sharpness, and details. It's not anything amazing but remains high quality. Instead of a dedicated telephoto lens, we can crop into a 2x zoom for a more tight shot, but I wouldn't zoom past more than 2x to retain a decent image quality. Portrait mode works decently well, but without a second camera or a LiDAR scanner, images don't quite have that pop you would expect from other iPhones. The 12 megapixel selfie is about what you can expect from iPhones, with decent color, sharpness, and dynamic range, and overall the back and front cameras look very consistent, just like any other iPhone. So here's a sample of me taking a video with the iPhone 16e. The iPhone 16e can shoot up to 4K 60, and altogether the video quality is pretty good as you can expect from most iPhones. There's quite a lot of details, a lot of good dynamic range, so overall the video side is pretty good. Overall, I'm giving the iPhone 16e's cameras a B- grade. It has great video, great main sensor, although not as good as the main ones on the iPhone 16, and it's still a bit of a downgrade compared to maybe the iPhone 15. I honestly think that if you're looking for a phone with good cameras, the iPhone 15 is a way better buy. You do get a better main camera and an ultra-wide camera. But for all intents and purposes, the main sensor here is pretty good, but you are missing out on the ultra-wide or a telephoto and no sensor shift stabilization. Alright, now I'm gonna meet up with a few friends and we're gonna get some stuff done. Let's get going. My friend Xiaowei just sent me a photo. Let's take a look. Oh, subscribe to Upwards. You guys know what to do. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Alright, so we're pretty much done for the day. It is now currently 5:35. Battery percentage is at 32%. Time to get going home. Okay, so it's now 7:35, our battery percentage is at 20%. Now let's talk about the design, the features, and the software of the iPhone 16e. In terms of the design, the iPhone 16e is very similar to the iPhone 14, borrowing pretty much everything from the iPhone 14 body. The only real difference is that we only have one camera, and it has a frosted glass back just like the rest of the iPhone 16 lineup, and that's pretty much it. There's USB-C, which is great to see, but it's only USB 2.0. It's IP68 water and dust resistant, so that's also nice to see on here. It is built well with aluminium and glass, but it has the older version of the ceramic shield rather than the new one, so it isn't as protective as the new iPhones. Now, in terms of the actual software, we do have iOS 18, and as you can probably expect from the iPhone 16 lineup of phones, you will probably get at least 5 years of software updates. Most likely more than that. Now, Apple Intelligence is definitely a feature that I have very mixed feelings about. At this stage, Apple Intelligence is not advanced enough to be worth considering. But that's it for the features, design, and the software. And I'll be giving the iPhone 16e a B grade for all of these three categories. Alright, so I've got a few things to get done, and I'll talk to you guys later to talk about the battery performance. Alright, now we've reached the end of my day in the life. There's currently 10:28 and the battery percentage is at 4%. So let's take a look at the battery performance to see how the iPhone 16e did today. And I must say that I've been pretty impressed because I have pushed this phone pretty far, and wow, we had a screen on time of 8 hours and 35 minutes. To have 4% battery while having this crazy screen on time is actually pretty good. And today I had a pretty busy day on Instagram. I did a lot of sharing, Google Maps, Messenger, using the camera, and so forth. So altogether, the battery performance on the iPhone 16e is actually pretty insane. It's actually on the same level as the Oppo Find X8 Pro and the Samsung S25 Ultra. Now, the battery performance can be attributed to two different factors. The first factor is that it uses Apple's own modem, which is the C1. Having been developed specifically for iPhones, this allows the iPhone 16e to get better efficiency but also have a bigger battery than the regular iPhone 16, which is why this battery performance is just insane. And the second reason is that the display on here doesn't get that bright, so it doesn't draw as much power as other phones out there. So in terms of the battery performance, the iPhone 16e deserves an A+ grade. Now, let's talk about the phone in general. So the iPhone 16e gets a 76 out of 100 or a B+ grade rating. And do I recommend getting the iPhone 16e at its current pricing? No. Instead of buying the iPhone 16e, here are my recommendations. If you want to stick with iPhone, definitely check out the iPhone 15 or the iPhone 15 Pro, which both can be found for around the same price and have better displays, better cameras, and pretty much on-par performance. In the Android world, I'll recommend you take a look at the OnePlus 13, the Samsung S24 FE, and if you only care about performance and battery life, then maybe the iPhone 16e is worth considering. So, this is the iPhone 16e, one of the weirdest devices I have ever used and one of the most conflicting phones I have ever tried. I'm Upwards. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.